2047 still is very, very relevant, especially in a time where India is marching forward fast towards the centenary of its independence. I feel this Viksit Bharat is no longer a vision of the government. It is actually a mission of the entire nation, where the youth has a particularly important role to play, especially the entrepreneurs who will be the architects of this great transformation we are all looking forward to. And whether we talk about job creation or it is innovation, sustainable, resilient growth, certainly entrepreneurs are going to be at the center of all this activity. And I strongly feel who better can we have to have this discussion with than somebody who embodies entrepreneurial leadership himself, Mr. Jain. Welcome, Mr. Jain. Happy to share this platform with you.
Thank you, Professor Kandan. Thank you to the DSPSR team, to Professor Ajay Singh sir for this great opportunity. Through this session, I'll try to speak from the heart, and just share my life experiences and then also try to learn from all of you present here. Looking forward to the session. Thank you.
Absolutely, Mr. Jain. We are happy. We are eagerly waiting to hear from you as well. So, Mr. Jain, before we dive into the center of today's topic, tell us something about your journey as an entrepreneur.
So my journey as an entrepreneur pretty much starts from my childhood because my father ran a small business. So most of the stories growing up that I heard from him that inspired me were, either of Ratan Tata or Kumar Mangalam Birla or Dhirubhai Ambani. So for me, these were the superheroes. And that nurturing for me started at a very young age. But then my parents were also very clear that the path to realizing your dreams goes through world-class education. And that led me to engineering and then spending some time at the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. And that quest for exposing myself to new ideas and building networks is what led me to the London School of Economics. I was very grateful that I got a 2-year scholarship, so I was able to live and study there. And that exposure, I always had entrepreneurial ideas and ambitions, but when you exchange ideas and share time and space with people from almost 100 countries, you begin to realize the possibilities, and that is what became the pedestal to start my journey as an entrepreneur.
Great. So, are you still pursuing any entrepreneurial venture or
So while I was at the London School of Economics, I started working on my startup. I still remember my two conversations, very vivid conversations. One with my economics professor, and then he was asking me that, do you want to stay? I mean, what do you want to do once you graduate? And most of my classmates, from different countries, all wanted to stay in London and, have a great life, build a great career. But his advice to me, especially, was that, if you have entrepreneurial ambitions, the first thing you should do is take the first flight back to your home country. Go back to India because that is the country of future. You are, in your mid 20s, and you need to look for the next 40 years of growth and possibility. Most of the developed world is an aging population. So if you stay in an aging population, you basically work for their older people, right? By way of taxes. But if you go to your country of birth, you sort of understand the country, you have networks there. Now you have a global network of the LSE. You go back in your young age, you try to build something there, and then scale it in the next 20, 30 years because, I mean, they could see immense possibilities in India. And then my finance professor had this interesting conversation with, and why I mention these two conversations is because these are contrarian views. These are views which are opposite to what 90% of the people think, right? So I'm there, I want a nice job, I want to, stabilize in that country. And so my finance professor asked me that, if you were to do a startup, when would you like to do that? So my answer to him was, hey, I have no money. I'm studying here on scholarship. I think I should do a job for 5, 7 years, save some money, and then start a business, right? That is the conventional thought process. And he was telling me that by the time you finish your, you do 5, 7 years of your job, you will become so risk averse that you will not be able to leave that paycheck. So if you want to do something, if you want to take the highest order of risk, do it early in your life because you have no responsibility. There is no fear of failure. So I think those two conversations really helped me make that decision of coming right back after my graduation. And then, over the next decade, building my own business. And then now, over the last 2, 3 years, I have got that out of my system of building my own startup. So now what inspires me is to, work with young founders who are trying to build their business in India, but who are trying to take their business global. So that is what now gives me a lot of happiness to assist young founders, work with them, share my experience, and then become part of their vision so long answer to your short question.
So very rightly said. I think your idea of Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Deva Maheshwara, I mean, it holds in your case as well. So yes, I also owe my a lot in my life to my guru, Professor Ajay Kumar Singh sir. So yes, a very good thought, Mr. Jain. So I'm sure your journey has, I mean, not been smooth like any entrepreneur that we can talk about.
Right.
So what have been the prime challenges that you've come across through your journey?
I mean, the day you conceptualize your idea or business, so the challenges start from then on, right? So it is about how do you find your first set of customers? How do you raise capital? How do you hire people? When you hire them, how do you retain them, right? And then how do you solve a lot of the challenges that happen on a day-to-day basis? And then in parallel, your personal life is also happening,
Yes.
right? So, and as a CEO or as a founder, when you go to work, people expect you to have all the answers, which is not true. You don't have all the answers. So I mean, I've faced so many challenges, but every challenge, I think what I would like to share with, young professionals and students is start building your support system. So your support system could be your batchmates, your friends from school, university, your professors, it could be friends, family. So the more support system you build, every time you hit a challenge, you can go to someone and seek advice. What happens in a startup is because the founder is the supreme power, everybody on your team thinks that he or she has all the answers, which is not true. So my point is that you should build your board of advisors, people who you can go back to and discuss your problem and stay honest with yourself. If there is a problem and you don't know the answer to, seek help. Sometimes it is so easy. It's a very simple idea asking for help, but very few people do it. And in my 13 years of working in Europe, US, in India, anytime I've asked for help, I've got help, right? So it's also the intent, your honesty, your mission, your purpose, and people will help you. So I think don't shy away from asking help. Keep knocking on doors, asking for help, and then people will oblige. They also see the sincerity and the purpose of what you're trying to do. So my point being that there will be a variety of challenges that you'll face. Before you jump into this, you cannot plan for everything. But I would say before you embark on this journey and through the journey, keep building your support system, mentors, and in your own limited capacity, also try and assist people. The more you assist them, you'll also learn from them. And in that process, you'll build deeper relationships. So the whole purpose of being in university or going to school is over time you build networks. Just try and nurture them, stay in touch with people, try to assist. Not all assistance is financial. There is moral, spiritual assistance that you can do. So always try to be on the lookout for helping people.
So I get the sincerity with which you're responding. I mean, you're talking about such simple things, but
Right.
very, very essential to proceed ahead.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes. So, Mr. Jain, I'm sure you've come across excruciating challenges.
yeah, yeah.
And what has been your source of inspiration? What people you've looked up to, or maybe what organizations you've looked up to keep yourself going?
I I mean, this is, and I don't know the Honorable Prime Minister personally, but I've seen him on television. I've read about him, and anytime I'm in a situation where I feel, this is tough. Why is this happening to me? The first person that comes to my mind is the Honorable Prime Minister because of his humble background and the journey that he's taken from a very simple, humble background to becoming one of the most powerful people on the planet. And I continue to think that my challenges can't be bigger than what he faced, right? And then he had the tenacity and the strength and the mission mode to get to this place and, to look after and take care of 1.4 billion people. So my responsibility is not bigger than his, right? So if he can get up every day in the morning, get up, give his 100%, under immense pressure, uh, all through his life, I am in a much stronger position because of the support system, because of being born in, having access to education, world-class education, so many people helping me. When I compare his journey of how he started, how he took up responsibility and delivered 100% and then moved on and moved on, and there was this thing that he said, that you should not dream about what you want to become, but you want to dream about what you want to do. Just focusing on putting your energy into doing something rather than imagining and getting caught up in that dream. So a lot of his advice, I've obviously noted it down and I go back to it time and again. So there is no bigger inspiration role model than him. But yes, in terms of organizations, because as a startup, right, you don't have capital. You're
Yeah,
always short of capital. And you always feel that I can solve this problem if I had more money,
true.
right? And I've been in that trap. You feel that, if I had X amount of more money, I would be able to hire this great person or, expand into a new market. And at that moment, whenever I'm faced with the situation, I go back to and I think about what ISRO has done, the Indian Space Research Organization, indigenous organization, fraction of the funds that NASA has, that SpaceX has, and still, taking us to Mars, right? So if an organization being in India with limited resources, can become a global force, so capital should not be my excuse, right? So I mean, those are one an individual and the other an organization that I really look up to in terms of facing life. Yeah.
So Jen, I'm sure like you, I mean, I can tell you about myself. I too look up to the Honorable Prime Minister to derive my strength. And I actually had goosebumps when you mentioned about you looking at him to seek inspiration in your times of weakness. So, and yes, you very rightly said that money should not be a limiting factor. It is your intention to do something that will limit you or take you further. So, very, very well articulated, Mr. Jain. Moving ahead, my question to you is how do you see the role of young entrepreneurs evolve in today's in today's Bharat, let's say?
So I would say, now being part of a startup that I ran for 10 years and then now being part of two more organizations and then talking to a lot of people, innovation generally happens in smaller companies, because larger companies have larger workforce. They already have a business that they have to run and maintain. They have to answer to shareholders, so they can't take wild risks. But when you talk about the new bunch of Indian entrepreneurs that are coming up, I think the responsibility and the opportunity for them is to really push the innovation metric. Uh, right. So I would say that where we are, and we are in a much stronger position over the past decade now, in terms of how the world perceives us,
True.
uh, you know, both in terms of our global standing and also in terms of, the innovation that has happened in India. Take a simple idea like UPI, right? Everybody is using it
Everybody, yes,
across the spectrum of India. It's a very simple idea. It's an indigenous idea. We have done it in-house for a 1.4 billion people, right? We have not copied it from somewhere.
yes. At the
So
scale we've reached,
yes,
indigenous,
yes.
yeah,
So, I
no
mean,
doubt.
these are things that take Aadhaar, for example, right? These are things that have been built, designed at scale by Indian innovators.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
we don't have to look anywhere else because there is no other country with a 1.4 billion population which is democratic. We are the only country. So why are we? We should not be taking any examples from the US and UK.
We should be setting our own
Yes,
examples.
because there is nobody else who has the kind of population scale that we have, right? Who has the strength of technical engineering power that we have, right? Our students and young professionals are populating all the global companies.
And
So,
also all everywhere. I
yeah.
mean, it's
So
everywhere.
basically, our school system, our university system is doing something right.
Yes.
I think it's just that we have somehow lost touch with our own roots and culture. And we believe that external validation is important for us. But if we were to reverse engineer that and look at any aspect of, from yoga to Ayurveda to science and technology,
And also with the new education system, I think
yes,
the world is going to be looking at
yeah.
us
So, I
from
mean,
today.
my suggestion to Indian entrepreneurs is that, there is no better time than today to be in India, to start a business in India. You have 1.4 billion consumers. You are very lucky. You don't have to go
Largest
anywhere.
market any entrepreneur
Yeah,
can look at. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
basically, your proof of concept happens in India. You build your idea, you test it in India. But my only objective, and I have this conversation with my founders now, is we should benchmark it to global standards. Any product or service that we are making in India, we have the market to test at scale, but we should keep in mind that we are going to take it to the world. So
Yes,
the quality has to be world class. I think that is why the inspiration from ISRO is putting a rover on Mars, and doing all the amazing things that they are doing. Their competition is global.
yes.
Uh, yeah.
Taking forward what you just mentioned, benchmarking to global standards, what do you think is the relevance of a global ambition for Indian entrepreneurs?
I think this is an ongoing conversation that a lot of founders have amongst themselves. Is that, should they be focusing on India because we are a huge market?
Yes.
We are the fastest growing economy. We are already the fourth largest economy, right? So should we put 100% of our energy in on the Indian market? So this is where, because I have lived abroad for so many years and I've, worked in Europe and the US, I believe that every entrepreneur must have global ambitions. Because if we are to become Viksit developed by 2047, which I think is such a great thing for a leader of, one of the largest countries of the world to give a mission to its citizens,
Very true.
that,
Everybody feels they are working towards the same
yeah,
purpose.
yeah, and
Yes,
hopefully, all of us on the call today will be healthy and we'll see 2047 in terms
absolutely.
of, being in good health. But then giving this mission that, and also this aspiration that we can get there. And the way to get there is to make world-class product and service, whether it is in education, defense, science and technology,
So again, as you
engineering.
said, benchmarking to global
Yes, yes.
standards is the way
I
forward.
would say that really pushes your thinking uh, you know, when you are designing or making something and you want to see that in every American home or in every European home, you really push yourself to make a world-class product, which will obviously be relevant for India, but it has to be relevant for the rest of the world. because we, by 2047, we should have some of the largest companies, Indian companies in the world, having operations globally. I think that mindset will come from this current generation of entrepreneurs, because they have been seeing the transition of the country in the last 10 years. They are confident. They don't need validation from any other country. So I think that is where I feel Indian entrepreneurs must have global ambitions. Not to say that you should not sell in India. Obviously, this is your home country, huge
Yes.
market. But having that mindset, I feel, is important.
So, Mr. Jain, having worked across 50 countries, how do you think the perception of Indian entrepreneurs has changed over the last 1 decade?
There is a huge change. I think since 2014, in these last 11 years, I was in Europe and the UK through 2009, up till 2012, 3, 4 years I was there. And then since then, I've been working across countries. The perception has changed. We are no longer the low cost back office IT people,
Yes.
you know. Now people look to us, and again, it flows from strength of the government, strength of the prime minister. We are a force in space. We are a force in defense. We are a force now in the financial world, in technology. So why this is important is because today, as part of my, the company that I'm currently working for, we are trying to expand across Middle East, Australia, the US, world-class technology product that we have. When I'm having conversations with the CEOs who are not Indian, right, who could be, Brit, who could be American, I have that confidence to talk to them that I have a world-class product,
Very
right?
good.
I don't need validation from them. And this, I would say, is one of the significant contributions of the past decade, is to put us on the global map from a position of strength, right?
Yes.
We are not going to the IMF and the World Bank for funds. We are giving funds to them.
Yeah, very good. And we are no longer seen as weaklings on the
Yeah,
global
no, no,
map.
no, not at all. We have a
In
seat
fact,
at the
we are in
table.
a position to actually help other countries.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's looking to us, the kind of problems, whether it is climate, financial literacy, education. If India can make it work at scale, people and the world is learning from us.
Yes.
Because there is no other use case of a 1.4 billion people,
Correct, correct.
with Jan Dhan. It's very easy to say, um, how do you do it for such a large population? I think, I would say the perception has changed, and that will again help Indian entrepreneurs take their product and service global, because they are first
It will
among
also
equal.
help us market better
Yes, yes, yes.
and
I
with
think
lesser effort, I
the
feel.
whole Make in India initiative, now everybody is celebrating that Apple is making all their iPhones in India, but it was somebody's vision, about Make in India, and
Absolutely.
then giving assurance and confidence to the world that you can come here and manufacture. Uh, it's easy to celebrate, but there's a lot of work that went into it,
Content.
to give global investors and manufacturers confidence that you can come and move your entire supply chain to India, and you will get world-class infrastructure and solid policy to be able to ship it to the world. I think so. It's also not everything can be done by the government, right? The responsibility of business lies on entrepreneurs, and and that is where I feel Indian entrepreneurs must look at the next 20 years as a golden age, because we have a young population. So you're going to have the great workforce, customers. Uh, you know,
Also, the government support.
yes,
We
yes,
have been having it for the last 1 decade.
right, right. So I think now it is you. I mean, don't take it for granted, right? I mean,
Yes.
you have to make the most of the opportunity, because the opportunity will not always be there. Look at Japan now, right? Aging population. What will they do? We are in a sweet spot.
Yeah.
If we miss this
Have the
opportunity,
government impetus, the government support. We also have the demographic dividend.
yes, yes.
both these things put together, I think India is poised at the global platform in a very,
Right.
very
I
unique
I
way.
think stay rooted. Be take a lot of pride in our culture. We don't need validation from anybody. Just go out there and try to make world-class product. And the world is actually waiting for Indian entrepreneurs to step up, right? So
Yes,
it is the onus is on us, and you can't take any more excuse. Yeah.
absolutely. So, Mr. Jain, as we stand on the cusp of this AI disruption, how do you see Indian entrepreneurs measuring up to the challenge?
I think. I mean, we have some of the greatest minds the world here. We have built large companies globally. We are running large companies globally. Look at any CEO of any large tech company in the US, and you will, without fail, find it to be run by an Indian. So, we are in one of the strongest positions to be able to, ride this AI wave. We have great, universities, professors here. I think it's just not getting afraid by the, the panic that gets created by loss of jobs. This is a new revolution that is coming up, and we are already in the middle of it. So we just need to.
You're saying that there is hope for those who are losing jobs because of AI disruption.
I think that comes with every change, right? Is when the assembly line was built, a lot of people initially thought they're going to lose jobs, but AI, like any new technology, will make you productive. So when it makes you productive, new industries come up. At times of change, rather than being fearful and resisting, I think we need to embrace change, reskill ourselves. I think that is where a lot of Indian schools and universities will play a crucial role in skilling and reskilling our workforce.
And
Uh,
coming from the other side of the table, coming from academia, I can assure you, a lot is being done in this sector as well with the new education policy
right.
in, working towards reskilling our students and reshaping the curriculum to make our students more relevant for this
Yeah.
changing world.
I think the AI summit that happened in Paris, Honorable Prime Minister was co-chair for the summit. So
Yes.
we are not shying away from it. We're taking it front and center. And I think there's so many new ideas that are going to come up because of this new disruption that is happening. I'm not an expert in the field, but generally in life, what I now realize after going through so many ups and downs in startups is when you see a new change coming up, become part of that change. Don't resist.
Against resisting it.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean it is so big that you will have to change yourself.
Yes, and as against being swept away by the wave, it's
Right.
better you work with the wave. Yes.
Yes, yes. And then, just at the university level, at the school level, at the government level, I think everybody is very conscious about what is happening. We have a huge engineering bench strength in the India. So if there is one country that can lead this, it is us.
True.
Like with the IT revolution, we led that, change. I'm very confident we're going to beat this one.
So, Mr. Jain, I see in the chat box we have a question from one of the audience. They say, as we know, major part of population is residing in rural India. How to increase the number of entrepreneurs in such areas?
I think the entrepreneurship is not something that can be artificially increased. It is building systems, processes, infrastructure that enables entrepreneurs to come up. What is going to happen is that because rural economy is thriving now, a lot of those people will try to build product and services for their home market, not migrate to the cities, and just stay in their town and tier 2 city, tier 3 city, and look try to solve problems there. I think an entrepreneurship, there's a difference between entrepreneurship and just running a business. Entrepreneurship is about problem solving. So what are the problems that a community faces? Entrepreneurship is an answer to solve those problems. So I think with the JAM, so your Jandan Aadhaar platform that the government has built with 100% mobile connectivity, with a lot of this AI training and skilling going online, the next generation of entrepreneurs, I believe, are going to come from rural India and not from the cities.
And this
Because
will be powered by the strong infrastructure, enabling
yes, yes.
infrastructure being
So the
provided by
the,
the
the, the
government.
powerful digital infrastructure that a huge investments made in the last decade are now going to come to fruition because uh, there was just so much information penetration, digital literacy, banking, finance, microfinance, young entrepreneurs being able to raise money, through very strong banking that is happening. So this is an organic process. Obviously, the investments that the government has made in the last decade are going to really. I'm talking about a lot of large companies. Everybody is focusing on rural now.
Yes.
Because cities, a lot has been done, but the true entrepreneurial energy is going to come from rural India. Because again, I feel rural India is much closer to real India. Uh, a large part of the cities are too fascinated by the West. So it is, and we are already beginning to see a lot of digital content being created in rural India. A lot of new brands coming up from tier two, tier three
Yes,
cities.
most of the startups now hail
Yeah.
from tier two, tier three cities.
I mean, the ideas are going to come from there, but when they try to scale it, they have to come to the big city in terms of hiring, setting up offices. But I think the problems that they are going to solve, I personally know of a couple of startups they've raised a lot of capital solving problems for rural India.
Yes, I
So
see a lot of solutions coming from rural
yes,
India,
yes, yes.
particularly agriculture when we talk about
Agriculture, food processing, new kinds of brands.
new
It's a
kinds of
huge,
new kinds of products also when we talk about a replacement for plastic coming from the agriculture sector. I mean, the other day I
yeah.
just happened to be part of this conversation. And it's actually mind-blowing the kind of innovation that can come from rural areas actually.
No, no, food processing. I'm telling you, food processing is such a huge opportunity because 40% of our fruit and vegetables get, wasted on their way to the city. And there's a huge push on that. So food processing in itself is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity that I'm sure Indian entrepreneurs from, the smaller towns in rural India, because I mean they have agriculture in the true sense in their blood. They
Yes,
they understand the problems. All of us sitting in the city, we have very limited understanding.
yes.
So I don't think 200 million people are going to set the pace for 1.4 billion people. It's going to be the other way around.
That's very way around.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know the student's name or the participant's name who's posted this question. I can just see a hi. So I hope your answer is well answered. And I can see Vivek Kuchal ji has posted a question. The question goes like, how to reconcile the ranking of India in GDP and GDP per capita? What are the tangible ideas in India to take this debate in some result-oriented direction?
I think GDP per capita is an important metric, but I think we did not get here in 1, 2, or 5 years, and not we're not. It's going to take time. That is why when you have global ambition, when you build product and services for the world, you're going to get into high value industries. The thrust of the government on defense manufacturing. Why is that? Because that is a high value item which is much needed for India. And how can we find ways of exporting it to other countries? So I think the whole discussion about GDP per capita is very relevant, very important, because for Viksit Bharat, that is one of the most important metrics. But how do we get there, right? It is not about just artificially increasing it. We can only get there if we are building industries of the future. We have startups that are doing amazing work in drone technology. We did not have that 10 years back or 15 years back. Huge advancements happening in solar, in electric vehicles. So when we start getting into all these high value industries, building those products for the world, I mean, there is a reason China got to $18,000 GDP per capita. Because they were doing low cost manufacturing, but they also were doing, uh, you know, medium product, and now they're getting into high value product. So I think bunch of the focus will come with supply chains moving to India, innovation happening. When we start thinking about high value industries having aspirations to sell our product in the US and in Europe, when you have that aspiration, you will make products for advanced markets where GDP per capita is high. And the result of that will be that, we will build much larger companies. The paycheck, the salaries that we give to people will go up. Overall consumption will go up. I think it's not one way to solve this. It is bringing everything together. But my limited understanding is that um, building high value industries is the way to get there in terms of GDP per capita.
And we've started the journey. It's going to be a while till we reach there.
It is going to take time. I mean, it's we did not get a here in 1 year. And it's going to take decades. That is why the mission 2047.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, before I come to high, Vivek ji's follow-up statement is that's what my question is. Worry is that there is not much thinking in India on this so far. How to change the mindset of large rural population in India?
No, I think mindset is changing. I see. I come from the startup world, so I can talk about the conversations that a lot of startups are now having. Is we need to get into high value production. Uh, you know, so a lot of young people who work in startups come from both cities and rural India. It's not just so, and these ideas are percolating. Um, and eventually change will happen. But that's what I'm trying to say. That it's the thrust on high value industries will flow top down. So the government is, with smartphone manufacturing, with defense manufacturing, they're trying to show the way, right? And then it will come down to universities, the conversations that young people have in universities.
So absolutely, I was just about to come to that. I mean, I see Kuchalji writing, the problem is more of soft nature and not as much about tech and R&D. So when we talk about how to change people's mindset, I
Yeah,
think with the new education policy being the way it is, we are actually, uh, encouraging students to think about the problems around and encouraging
right.
students about the solution to the current problem and how to reach to the stage that we want to reach.
So I have a different view on this. I feel the whole AI disruption is going to take away so much of the low cost jobs,
Yes.
IT jobs, which are the low hanging fruit, and a lot of our young people get trapped in those, so now when AI takes away a lot of that work, you will be forced
Forced to think
into, yes,
different.
think
Yes,
different.
think different.
And that is why my initial comment of why I see AI as a huge opportunity, because this famous Hindi word of, jugaad, Indians will find a way, because that is our spirit, right? So many forces tried to rule us
Invade us.
for
Yes,
for
survival
thousands of
instinct is
years.
predominant, I feel, in India.
Yeah, yeah. No, no. I mean, we are survivors and fighters, right? Like
So,
all kinds of forces tried to oppress us, and then we still came up. So and that forced us to become, much more adaptable. And that it's the same thing that I feel is going to happen with the whole AI revolution. Is it will force young people to become creative, think of new industries, whether it is, just to get a job or to build a career, but it will force them. And like he said, you know, it will start from the mind, and the mind will force you to build innovative ideas and businesses, and that will get us to high value manufacturing.
So continuing with the same line of discussion, I mean, I see I've left one question, but since Vivekji has posted again, he says AI disruption would create great fears in young minds in India in the short run, as reskilling will take time. The government has to manage it along with industry.
Yeah, that is true. I think it's a huge challenge, but there is a lot of e-learning happening now. So in the classic sense, 10, 15 years back, everything was dependent on the universities. Now, most of the young people, even at work, they don't, I mean, they get educated through a variety of mediums. So the learning process has become much more agile. It's not a standard format of you go to
Agile and
university.
also embracive of the current situation. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
the
It's
educational landscape is changing.
yeah,
It's all in the right direction. I mean, I
right.
can I can chime in more where we talk about education since we are actively implementing the new education policy and we can see the positives of the policy.
Yeah,
So
it is,
yes.
it is forcing you, not forcing you, I would say it is encouraging you to become more open-minded. Don't think of education as a set format.
Hmm.
Okay, so I graduate from school, 4 years, my education is done, and then I'll be working for the next 40 years. That model is over. You have to skill and reskill yourself every 3 years now.
Yes.
So I think young people will understand this in their when they pursue a career, when they try to find a job, they will very quickly realize and adjust and make a change. I think it's not going to be top down. The government cannot do everything. It's people have to take ownership.
So in the same line again, Vivekji, this is, I think, I'll make it quick because we have to wrap up the session also. I think I'm taking a little bit too much time. So Vivekji's last comment is, don't you think governments should have long tenures like what they have in Russia or some other advanced countries? Do you think that's the solution?
No, I think we have a great system in terms of having elections every 5 years. I hope we have one election, so it's much more productive for the country every 5 years. But I think we have a great process, and I'm very proud of being in a democratic country. I think uh, that gives us the ability to connect with the world. And I really hope by 2047 and much before that, we have the best talent coming to India, living here, building businesses, building companies, because this is the only large democratic country in the world other than, US and the Europe. So it's I think it's our biggest asset.
So
Uh, yeah.
I'll go back to a question that I have missed in the middle. The question says, what do you, so I think he means what should be the budget allocation for rural area to increase entrepreneurship?
I think that's where the so my perspective is entrepreneurship cannot be taught, right? It is something, it is an expression of your desire to solve problems. That
Correct.
is what entrepreneurship is. Somehow, I mean, I feel people say that I want to become an entrepreneur. It's not like you want to become a doctor. These are very different things. You see a problem, I want to solve that problem. The way to
That's
solve that problem is to do a business. And the thought process is that I feel is solving problem or pursuing an opportunity that leads to a business that leads to you becoming an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurship is not like, civil engineering or becoming a doctor or a lawyer. I feel you can't be trained for it. You can be given skills that can help you, but it is your desire to solve a large problem.
यहाँ पे भी चल जाती है यहाँ से ही चल जाएगी तो यहाँ से ही आती है इस मेज तक
Okay, so Mr. Jain, we are running short of time, so just a final word. what does Viksit Bharat 2047 mean to you as an Indian entrepreneur?
I told that to you in the previous question. I really want to see some of the best minds from, Harvard, Stanford, all the big universities. The moment they graduate, they take the first flight, come to India, set up their company, build the business here. I truly believe this is going to happen. I hope, much before 2047, that, you have the best minds of the world, living in India, building their businesses here. And that for me would be Viksit Bharat.
So, Mr. Jain, it's been great having this discussion with you. And if I could just identify the key highlights that you've given up, you've talked about the value of guru in life. You go to your guru to seek direction, and the importance of world-class education, which, trust me, NEP is taking us to. And then, building your support system, seeking help, not to shy away from seeking help from people, and just be true to yourself, assist people on the way, and then just go ahead with the problem solving. So thank you so much, Mr. Abhishek. And now I would like to hand over the platform to DSPSR to conclude. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much, Sangam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jain, for taking my questions and answering. Good evening, everyone. It is my privilege to extend the vote of thanks at the conclusion of today's thought-provoking and engaging session under our online interactive series. First and foremost, a heartfelt thank you to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Abhishek Jain, Associate Vice President, Sales at Restroworks, for delivering such a powerful session on the role of Indian entrepreneurs in achieving the Bharat. Your insights drawn from corporate experience and entrepreneurial logic have truly resonated with all of us. Your words have not only inspired our students, but have also instilled a sense of responsibility and possibility for our nation building. We are also deeply thankful to our moderator, Mrs. Sandhana Jain, PhD scholar at the Department of Commerce, University of Delhi, and associate member of the University of Delhi Foundation, for steering the session with such clarity and grace. Your thoughtful moderation and this conversation helps us engage meaningfully with the topic. To all the attendees, faculty, students, and professionals, thank you for your enthusiastic participation and presence. Your involvement is what makes these sessions valuable and impactful. I would also like to acknowledge the efforts of organizing committee, technical team, and support staff who ensured the smooth execution of the session. On behalf of the HPSM, as the training and placement officer, I express my sincere gratitude to everyone who contributed to the success of the session. As the founder of the rural commerce platform, Samrit Sassi, I deeply resonate with the theme of empowering entrepreneurs for the region, and today's session aligns perfectly with that mission. Thank you all once again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So much. Thank you.